been talking to myself for 5 minutes, thinking I was live when I wasn't. Wait, okay, that is working. Fantastic. Right, let me share. Just edit my announcement so that I've actually got the right link for Lobby B. Hello everyone just joining. Just give me a quick second. That should be right. There we go. Right. So currently, I was just talking to myself thinking that I was streaming when I wasn't. About how ERA had just locked out the first 3 positions and Aura seems to be up there with him. Aura's just gone a fair bit quicker than them all. He's in the GR Supra, and yeah, I think he might be one to challenge for pole position overall with the ERA boys as well. Let me just get Pyro's stream up as well so I can see what's going on with his. Awesome. Hello Ray, nice to see you. So yeah, let's just do a quick rundown of who's in this lobby. So we've got FGR making a comeback after taking a season off. They finished in 4th place in Season 2. Aura is the quickest man on track with a low 43 of 43.2, and he seems to be going quicker and quicker as this little practice session before we get started rumbles on. Then we've got the 3 ERA boys, Evo, Nick and Jakey. ERA new to ALR, and they are the team that Pyro thinks is going to dominate to such an extent that they'll have the title sewn up with 1 round to spare, which I think drew some surprise from Nick when I was speaking to him yesterday. He thinks Pyro's potentially been smoking something to come up with that prediction. We've got Pegasus, they've got Los Blanco Baba Yaga, who moved up from Project Racing United. They've got Mortal, who's joined from V2, and they've also got Whack Jams, who's moved over from Project Platypus. So they're just taking drivers from all over the show here, trying to get into the top 5 for the first time. We've also got Spider joining, Atim Graham, Abe Gobadi, and we've also got Lugi, who has ERA next to his name. His name is deceiving because he's not one of the ERA racers in this league anyway. And then you got Aura for FGR. Zeely is Project Racing United. He qualified for Lobby A in his only outing previously. So expecting potentially the same again. He's in the Huracan though, so it might be difficult. And Alfie also making his 2nd appearance for Project Racing United. And Kaioken also, well, it looks like he's rebranded himself to Autonomous. He has moved up to Pegasus as well after a pretty solid season, a few podiums in Lobby B. So it is 8 o'clock now. We've got a full lobby. Let me just check everyone is in, because I don't think there's going to be much point waiting. I'll tell everyone we're going to start soon. Let's get the first qualifying of Season 4 underway. So just quickly, the way that qualifying works here is we've got 2 lobbies on equal conditions mode. They are everyone's going to set laps for 10 minutes, and whoever has the quickest time out of the 2 lobbies gets pole position in Lobby A, and then the next 15 down are the grid for Lobby A, and the bottom 15 drivers are the grid for Lobby B. Lobby B is worth less points, but there's still good points to be won. If you finish in the top 10, you start earning points in Lobby B, as opposed to every single driver earning at least 5 points in Lobby A, even if you finish down in 15th and have a nightmare. So I think I explained that pretty well. Let's get started with qualifying. We're going to be starting a little bit quicker than Pyro's lobby, so that I can get all the results in good time. Try and be efficient with the awkward middle bit that's coming up between quali and the race. So here we go. Let's see who's going to win the race out the pits, who's got the best connection with me. Oh, someone's got out a bit further up there. So yeah, I'm expecting some of these drivers, this might be the only time that they appear in Lobby B this season, if their teams have a good start today. What the teams are wanting to do is to make sure that they get all 3 drivers in Lobby A and secure at least the fact that all 3 of them will be scoring at least a good chunk of points. But if you can finish in the top 10, that's where the real points start to kick in. Top 10 in Lobby A, and obviously if you win, it is worth quite a significant number of points more than anything else. So all these drivers will be going all out to win. Looks like Aura is letting a couple of drivers go through there. Trying to find the driver at the front of the pack. It looks like it is Evo now. Evo, one of the guys that I'm thinking is a contender for pole position. He's in the Lexus. The Lexus does not suit Daytona as much as some of the other cars. It's obviously got the great fuel tank, which is going to help it during the race, potentially stay out a lap or 2 longer than everyone else on the half tank that you start with in this series. But yeah, top speed leaves a little bit to be desired in the Lexus. It doesn't look like he's going to be trying to play the slipstream game, which pretty much everyone else is in a solid slipstream formation to start benefiting. You got the 2 Aero boys, Nick, Jakey, just ahead of Milius. They'll all be taking, getting closer to each other in this back straight as we go around the oval section. Baba Yaga just in front of Wack, and Zeely as well. Zeely really close to the back of Wack there. Then a little bit of a gap to the FGR boys, Aura and Ruppy. Then we've got Mortal. Well, everyone just in a line here. And then cut off at the back a little bit is Alfie. He just wants some space on his own to set some laps in his AMG by the looks of things. So let's get started with the first hot lap. The first qualifying lap of Season 4 is going to belong to ERA Evo as he takes turn 1. Pretty neat and tidy there. Let's ride on board and see how he tackles some of these corners. Quite wide at that corner, actually. I don't think that was optimal. Looked like he was struggling a little bit for grip, taking potentially a little bit too much speed around there. 28.4, still a very solid first sector. Potentially could go a little bit quicker than that. Now we're coming to the end of the infield, a very tricky left-hander, which is quite easy to slide the car, get a little half spin as you're trying to rotate the car and get on the power as early as possible. And then you're on the first part of the banked part of Daytona, down into a really tricky bus stop, and then the second much longer part as we end the lap. So this is going to be a pretty solid banker, but the most important corner is coming up right here. Cuts the first part pretty well. Uses a lot of the grass in every single part of the corner, so I guess that's how close you need to be to the edge to maximize your way through that bus stop. I don't do that when I take it. I'm a little bit more careful. I think I'd be spinning the car if I tried that too many times. So he's keeping it really tight round the oval. That is the optimum line. It minimizes the length of track that you have to go down. And he cuts the line for a 43.7, already in the 43s. ERA, Nick and Jakey both actually go quicker than him. Nick with a 43.4. Everyone's crossing the line now. Aura's gone even quicker than that, a 43.4. And Ave Gobadi even quicker than that, 43.2. Just ahead of Aura, Nick, Jakey, Evo. A Tim Gren is in 6th. Wack Jamps is in 7th. But the top 5 all already in the 43s, with pretty much everyone setting a lap time now. The P7 is Wack Jamps, P8 is Mortal. A little bit further down you got Baba Yaga in 9th. I think he can improve on that, and he's already 3/10 up on this lap. Autonomous in 10th, get Alfie in 11th. Ruppy and Milius must not have set times yet, so let's stick on board with Ruppy for a couple of corners. He'll be looking to improve massively on this. Just behind him is a Tim Gren, who's going to get a lovely slipstream in a corner's time. Potentially catch up to Ruppy. If they're smart, they'll play the bump drafting game and gain a bit of time. He is definitely up. Let's go back to the front and see if any of these drivers just coming through to finish their second laps can beat the times that they were already on. Nick, once again, really cutting the grass there on the exit. He's currently purple, so he's on course to beat Ave Gobadi's time. He's in the Gen X, which loves this circuit. It's got a great top end. He's got a 2-second penalty though, so he did cut that corner a little bit too much. That is going to ruin this lap and the next lap with the deceleration, so he's going into the pits to put on some more tyres. We've got Evo gone up into P2, so he's one of the drivers who's improved. Jakey as well has improved. He's up to P3. Nick could have had P1, but he got that 2-second penalty. Aura's extended again at 43.2. He's at the top. He's just beaten Ave Gobadi's time. Ave hasn't beaten his time. Ruppy in the 44s, and I couldn't see who was that in the 43s. A little bit further down, Mortal and Wack have actually come into the pits this time. Lugi, where was that? Where did Lugi go? Is he in the top 7? He isn't quite in the top 7. He set a 46.3. Zeely in the 46s as well, so not setting representative times yet. We've only got, well, less than 4 minutes to go before the checkered flag comes out, so these guys are running out of time. Ruppy is 1.6 off the pace at the moment with a 44.9, and he's not improving. So let's see what anyone else is up to. Let's go into the middle. Nick is has just come out the pit, so he's not on a lap. I think Tim Gren is on a lap, so let's follow him for a few corners. He's in 5th place at the moment for Spider. 2 of the Spider drivers in the top 5, 2 ERA drivers in the top 5, and 1 FGR driver in the top 5. All drivers in the top 7 are from teams that are new for this season or returning. So that is the level of competition, like how much it's just stepped up. Expect to see all top 6 absolutely in Lobby A. We'll have to see what the times tumble down to as the qualifying session rumbles on. So let's see how Tim Gren's doing in this sector. He's 1.3 seconds down. He's not going to improve. Who has improved though is ERA Evo, a 43 flat, almost in the 42s, the first driver to get a 43.0. Jakey Babiaga in the pits. Aura, can he find anything? It looks like he's just gone past the start finish line. He hasn't improved. Milius has improved. He's up into P7 now, only half a second off. He's in the 43s at 43.6, just ahead of Ave Gobadi, who might be a little bit yeah, he's probably gonna have to back out of that one. He's got a little bit of lag as well, unfortunately, so hopefully when he joins the other lobby that fixes itself. Let's see, who else is going to be on a hot lap at the moment? Milius is still on a hot lap, but these guys are really in each other's way. I think Wack might be on a hot lap. Let's stick with him and see what his Sector 1 looks like. He's just starting a lap now. He's only really set 1 lap. He's 1.3 seconds back. Another driver who's raced around here a lot. He's 3/10 up on his first sector already. So on for a pretty good improvement. Nearly in the 43s actually, which is like what I said. I think that's the magic number for qualifying into Lobby A, getting into the 43s. Watt could do it. He just needs another couple more tidy sectors. He probably is going to benefit a little bit from the slipstream from the car in front as well. Let's see. Yeah, he definitely will get some slipstream. Not a lot, not a lot. Maybe after the bus stop, if you can close the gap, it will benefit him a little bit more. He is 4/10 up now, so he's gained another 10th. Obviously, there's a little less fuel in the cars now as well, which is a benefit. But he's, oh, Los Blanco really had to back out of it there. Let's see how much that made Wack lift. He's only lost a 10th, so he might gain a position on the driver that potentially impedes him a little bit there. At least put him off. A bit of a distraction for sure. No one's really improving on their times. I think we'll have a quick look at Nick after this. Looks like Lugi has improved to 44.5, so he's getting there. He still probably needs to find half a second. 44.2 for Wack. It is up to P8. Nick must be on a hot lap. He's getting impeded. I think he must have just started his hot lap there. He is in 6th place at the moment. Let's stick with him until the end of the first sector. If he's down, we might watch another car, because that looked a little bit hairy. There's a lot of drivers on the same part of the track at the moment. He is still up actually by a 10th. We're on the final lap now, so So everyone is only going to be able to complete this lap alone. Let's cycle through and try and find who that first driver is all on his own. There we go, it just took the whole grid. Alfie looks like he's been on his own for the whole qualifying. Project Racing United, he is 2.5 seconds down at the moment. He's trying to find at least half a second to make a position here. And it is not an improvement. Let's see who else is at the front. There we go, it's Aura. Aura's last chance. He has to find a 10.5 to get pole position. That's how the gap between him and Evo at the moment. And it doesn't... Oh, he's got a little bit... Sorry, he's got a little bit longer to go. I thought that was the checkered flag. This is the checkered flag, and he doesn't improve. He's 3/10 down. What can Evo do? He's a few cars back, but let's stick with him because this might be our pole sitter. We'll have to see obviously what happened in Lobby A, but this is a mighty quick time. Is he going to be the first driver into the 42s? We're not seeing any of these drivers improve yet. Nick does improve to a 43.2. That puts him up in third. Lugi improves as well. We've got Ave Gabadi still in fourth. He's finished his lap. It looks like Tim Grin's got a penalty, so his lap's not going to improve. Could Mortal improve? He doesn't. Baba Yaga doesn't improve. It looks like it is over pretty much for everybody. Yep, these drivers had penalties anyway. And that is quite an exciting end. I'm not quite sure how many people hit the 43 mark. So the top 8 certainly did. And then there was a bit of a gap. So that could potentially be the difference between Lobby A and Lobby B. The top 8 in the 43s, down to 7/10 for Mortal. And then Lugi, Whack Jamps, Los Blanco, Ruppy, Autonomous, Alfie and Zeely failing to crack that. So yeah, really close at the top though. Big congrats to Evo for winning the lobby. Aura P2, Nick P3. This isn't going to be what the race looks like. We have to see what happens in Lobby A. They're just on their final laps now. I'm going to go into my spreadsheet and start putting in some times. So Evo 43067. I'd be surprised if anyone beats that. Nick 43. Then Aura 43204. And then Ruppy was Spider had a good one as well. So we have Tim Gren in P6 43 428, Avi Gabadi 43 267, and then Lugi 44 242. In the Lambo as well, got to put it out, he's qualified in P9 in the top 10 in the Lamborghini Huracan around here. That's not an easy thing to do. Where's Whack Jamps? Whack Jamps P10 44. Oh, Whack just couldn't get into the 43s. I know he had it in him. Zeely 46 069, Alfie 45 571, and then we've got Pegasus Panthera. We've got Mortal and yeah, Mortal set a good one. 43 863. Los Blanco. I'm surprised he wasn't in the 43s. Absolutely surprised at that. Maybe the one that'll be a little bit disappointed with his qualifying. Oh dear. Hold on. I'm making mistakes here. Multitasking is not my friend. And then Mortal had a 43 863. Now, I just need to have a look at Pyro's results when he puts them up. Dino with a 43.3, so it looks like he didn't get pole position, Dino, there. Syndra really quick. So the R-Lab boys 1 and 2 in the other lobby. Perry in P3. Whoa. What a performance for Perry then. 43.617. BX. And then Helix. So that's three Falcon R-Lab drivers in the top 5. All Norwegians. Okay. Norwegians come to play tonight. Got Slim. Slim out qualifying Javi. Javi's in the Ferrari though, but he's still in the 43s. That's another impressive qualifying. Owen. Reppin' Aero GT. Looks like he's definitely going to be in Lobby A. Right, I need the second page. There we go. So we got Fluffy Butt, 44131. That might actually be enough. Prime Call, 44.241. This is right on the bubble. Zico, what a bad qualifying. Zico's definitely going to be in Lobby B. And then we got Hollywood, 44.722, and then Hurricane bringing up the rear. Although it's not going to be last on the grid, that's still a pretty decent time, still in the 44s. Right, let me just... So it is ERA Evo number 1, Aura 2nd, Nick 3rd, Abigobadi 4th, Dino 5th, Jakey, Atim, Grant, Syndra, Milius, and Perry is the top 10. Perry qualifying 2nd in Lobby A is 10th on the grid today. The cutoff is Owen in P15, Javi in P14, Mortal is going to be pole position for Lobby B ahead of Fluffy Butt, Prime Call, and Loogie is going to be 4th in Lobby B. So let me just post this in the chat so that everyone can play musical chairs and shuffle themselves between one lobby and another. Wow, wow, wow. So, first blood, first points of the season. You do get points for pole position. Go to ERA because Evo managed to set a time 1.5 tenths quicker than the rest of the grid. So let me just take a quick screenshot. Oh god, hold on, I've made a mistake again. There we go. I'm just going to post this in the Discord. This is going to be a tight one in both lobbies. Not much time separating all the drivers, to be honest. Right, here we go. God, that took a bit longer than I thought. I do apologize for that. So, just to recap, Lobby A is going to be, I'm just going to read them out in order. ERA, Evo, FGR, Aura, ERA, Nick. 4th place, Spider, Avigobadi. 5th place, Falcon, Dino. 6th, Jakey. 7th, Spiders, Atim, Graham. 8th is Falcon, Syndra. 9th is Milius for FGR. Then 10th and 11th, Project Platypus drivers, Perry and BX Royal. 12th, Falcon, Helix. 13th, Arex Slim. 14th, Arex Javi. 15th, Aero, Owen. And then in my lobby, we've got some drivers that have never, ever been in Lobby B. So we've got Mortal on pole position. He's won Lobby Bs before. He could easily win today. We've got Fluffy Butt, who was, I think, permanently in Lobby A last season. He is 2nd. Then we've got Prime Call, who's won in Lobby B. He's in 3rd. Then we've got Loogie making his debut in the Huracan in 4th place. Whack for Project Race United is 5th. Los Blanco for Panthera Pegasus is 6th. Then we've got Kepler in 7th. And Zico in 8th. These drivers are never, ever, ever in Lobby B, and they're going to be joining me today. Then we got Hollywood and Hurricane in 9th and 10th. Both of them have won in Lobby B. Ruppy in 11th is a lobby was regularly in Lobby A in Season 2. Autonomous 12th for Pegasus. Then we got Project Race United's Alfie and Matthijs Zeely rounding up the rear, essentially. So, let me just type because everyone, for your race lobby. gonna have to start kicking people out. Nick shouldn't be in here. There we go, he's gone. Okay, so let me just double check these are all the right people for today. I think we've got pretty much almost a driver from, well, at least 7 of the teams racing here. So this is going to be really close. Zico, Keplero could easily win this race. Mortal could win. Lugi could win. This is a good start, let's just say. I'm quite happy with how we've started. Pyro just writing these times. Yeah, pole position in Lobby A was actually 5th place overall. 2nd place in Lobby A was 9th place overall. So we were blessed in qualifying, and yeah, we're going to have a really good race here as well with some of the really top guys in ALR racing here, including a Project Platypus driver from the defending champions and Keplero from the champion from 2 seasons ago. We've even got an FGR driver, we've got a Spider driver. We've got all 3 Pegasus drivers. I'm surprised to see that. I thought that they could have had 1 or 2 in Lobby A. And Wack could have got into Lobby A as well, to be honest. Wack is my former teammate. I just need to tell everyone to enter so that I can actually... Oh no, I need to reset the lobby. That's why they're not doing that. Oops. Right, now let's just edit these event settings, remove qualifying. And we can do custom weather, grid start, grid order set by me, and then everything else should be the same. Something's happening with Lugi. Trying to join. Right, I'll start setting the grid anyway whilst everyone else is joining. Right, let me get that image back up. I know Mortal was in pole position while that's loading. Fluffy Butt P2. Lugi hasn't entered yet. Then we got Whack. Kepler Zico. Hollywood. Hurricane. I need a rookie to enter. There we go. Okay, now let's do the order again. So we have Mortal, Fluffy Butt, Prime Call. We've got Lugi. We got Whack, Los Blanco, Kepler 07th, Zico, Hollywood, Hurricane. So last place in Lobby A actually is 10th place here, so a big difference in the quickest and the slowest in qualifying in our lobby, and it was a lot smaller in Lobby A with the top 5 teams from last season. Autonomous is behind Ruppy. Then we got Alfie and Zeely. Yes, we can start. We can start soon. I needed to make sure that the grid order was right. Calm down, lads. Which I'm pretty confident it is now. So, put your predictions in the chat. Who do you think is going to win? There's a lot of drivers that could win this race, and some drivers are definitely going to be left disappointed. Plenty of Tier 1 drivers here. Whack in Tier 3 out-qualifying 6th, 7th, and 8th Tier 1 drivers. That's pretty impressive stuff. So yeah, I think he can already be pleased with it tonight, but he's got a good basis to start from. Just a reminder, top 10 score points in this lobby only. It's 12 points for a win, 10 points for second place, and then 8 down to 1 for third to 10th, and also a point for the fastest lap. So I'm going to tell them all finally that we're starting soon so that they don't keel over in anticipation. They've had plenty of time to set their wing settings and all that kind of stuff. Go for a quick toilet break or whatever that you need to do. It's been a long off season. I'm excited to get started again. Right, let's start. Hopefully everything runs smoothly, because GT had a little hiccup yesterday. Or I guess it was the PlayStation Network. Here we go. Mortal Veloz on pole position in his Lexus, next to Fluffy Butt in his Aston Martin Vantage. As we're just waiting for the lights to start coming on. 14 drivers in Lobby B. We're kicking off Season 4's esports for Aero League Racing right now, and it looks like a pretty decent reaction from Fluffy, but he lost a little bit of traction though. He's side by side with Mortal. Mortal's got the inside line for turn 1 as it goes. Fluffy Butt's fully ahead though, so not much that Mortal could do there. And now it's pretty close between everyone else on the run down. Whack Jam's trying to chuck it down the inside of Prime Call into turn 1. It looks like everyone's taken it fairly cleanly. Loogie losing a couple of positions there by looks of things, shuffled out of position. Let's have a quick look at the replay and see what happened there with Loogie. A little bit of a bump from behind. Everyone is having a bit of a bump with each other. So let's rejoin the front of the grid and see what's going on. Fluffy Butt with the lead over Mortal. A great start for Team Apex, rebranded from Cab R from last season. Trying to salvage some good points in Lobby B just ahead of Mortal. Whack Jam's making his way up into third. Remember, these guys are starting on half a tank. Some of these drivers are on softs like Fluffy Butt and Mortal. Whack Jam's is the highest medium runner, so he is the best person on the grid for his strategy. We've got Keplero making a few positions up into P4 for Team Arix. Then there's Baba Yaga and Prime Call, who's getting shuffled back pretty quickly on his medium tyres. He's struggling to compete with some of these guys. Los Blanco in the Audi with lovely top speed on that Audi. He gets ahead of Prime Call in the run down to the bus stop. And everyone's really close together. It looked like, are they actually going to make it through? Yeah, they do actually. Prime Call gets a penalty there, a half second. Everyone is incredibly close together here. Let's join right on board with Hollywood. He's just behind Prime Call, who's got a half second penalty. We've got Zico here, shuffled down to 10th, just ahead of Ruppy and Hurricane. Prime Call's going to probably drop all the way to the back of the grid here. Zico gets a bit of a bump draft from the driver behind as well. That means he might be able to overtake Alfie. Alfie somehow in 7th place, starting near the back, had one hell of a first lap to get himself up into P7. Now they're side-by-side in the braking zone into turn 1. Los Blanco and Loogie side-by-side as well. Bit of contact between those two. Loogie goes wide, Alfie goes wide, Zico gets the position, Hollywood up into 8th, Ruppy up a couple of places all of a sudden into 9th ahead of Alfie, who is completely off track there. Let's see what happened on the replay, because that looked a little bit hairy. So we saw him go wide into turn 1, completely off track there. Rejoins, he's lost those positions. He's still on the grass. And he gets a bit of a bump from his teammate. His teammate hits the wall, and he is out of sorts as well. So Zeely all the way at the back with damage. We're on light damage here, so that is going to go away, but he's cut adrift. The Aero boys not doing well at all either at the start. We've also missed an overtake for the lead, so let's try and see if we can find that. No, it looks like he got it in the first sector, so apologies for missing the overtake for the lead, but it looks like Whack is going to try and get the lead off of Mortal unless they start working together. I think working together at this point of the race would be a clever thing to do. Whack looks like he's potentially thinking about going for a move, but decides for another bump draft. They've got an 8/10 of a second lead on Fluffy Butt. Fluffy Butt making a mistake, clearly lost the positions to these two. Whack gets the bus stop completely wrong there. He's going to avoid a penalty though, but he's lost 7/10 of a second to Mortal now, and it might allow Fluffy Butt and Los Blanco, who is trying a move up the banking on Fluffy, but the Audi versus the Aston Martin, it's difficult to know which one will be quicker there. Really tight racing between these guys. Looks like just as we get into the top end of 6th gear, the Audi starts to come alive a little bit more, and that is up into the top 3. A great start to the race for Baba Yaga, and Fluffy Butt has filtered down to 4th position after initially leading the race. And now Zico's up into P5 as well, so he's had a good lap. He's managed to overtake Keplero in the battle between Project Platypus and Arex. Something's going on. Fluffy Butt's wide again. Zico's going to try and take advantage. Fluffy Butt really struggling on the exit there, but got a better exit than Baba Yaga. It pushed him along a little bit, and that stopped some of Fluffy Butt's momentum, and Zico is potentially going to chuck it down the inside. He is going for it. Beautiful overtake there for Zico, up into P4, and he is really on a charge in this race. At the front, Wack has lost down to 1.4 seconds behind Mortal. Remember, Wack is on the medium tyres, and he's still up in P3, still ahead of loads of soft tyre cars. So this is potentially a race-winning strategy here for Wack if he can get the softs to work in his favour later on in this race. Back at the front, let's do a quick rundown of where everyone is. Mortal looking pretty comfortable in that Lexus and due to score some really good points. Pegasus won the opening race of last season in Lobby B. Looks like they could do it again with Project Racing United on for a podium here with Wack Jumps. But bear in mind, we're still in lap 3. Los Blancos in 3rd place. Fluffy Butt is ahead of Zico at the moment. Zico, and something's it's all kicking off a little bit further back. We got Lugi in 7th. We've got 3 drivers here fighting in the top 10. Autonomous, also known as Kyoken, in P8. Looks like Hollywood's going to lose a bit of momentum here. Let's stick with Hollywood as he serves his penalty. Ruppy's going to swoop on through. Looks like Lugi had a penalty as well. He's lost a lot of momentum to Autonomous. He's going to have to defend into turn 1. Autonomous is going to potentially chuck it around the outside here. Can they both make it? They both make it pretty tidy. And Lugi wins that battle with a very good cornering there into turn 1. A little bit further up, everyone has started to catch up to the back of Wack Jumps. Now we're going to start seeing a Wack train. Wack is on the mediums, bear in mind. He is still going quicker than he has done so far in the race, but I think it's just more a case of the soft-tired cars getting into the groove a little bit more after some hairy opening corners. But Wack taking that corner much more beautifully than Baba Yaga, extends the gap to just 0.3 of a second. Needs a bit more. That Audi is going to overtake him pretty easily if he gives him half a chance, and that half a chance might already be here. Los Blancos wasting absolutely no time here in trying a move. This is a very good night in Lobby B so far for Team Pegasus, with the A team and B team locking out podium positions here, and it looks like Los Blancos going to just tuck in behind Wack. Didn't feel like he had the overspeed, but he can get him on this next straight. And just a little bit further back, it looks like Zico has gotten past Fluffy Butt, so Fluffy Butt's been shuffled down to 5th, but crucially for Fluffy Butt, he's still within 3.2 seconds of the race lead, so it's not over by a long stretch, but they are allowing Mortal to start to stretch a bit of a gap here. Mortal does have the fastest lap as well. Zico's going to try and get Los Blancos now with the overspeed around the outside in that GR Super Red. It is the fastest car on the track in the run down to turn 1, but he didn't have the inside line for the corner, and he's not only lost the position to Los Blancos, but he's lost the position to Fluffy Butt as well, so he's going to have to try and get past Fluffy Butt for a 3rd time. Fluffy Butt not giving up this position lightly, and they're not losing time in front despite all this battling, because Wack Jumps on the mediums is the cork in the bottle at the moment. Everyone racing nose to tail pretty well. Keplero's starting to catch up to this pack now as well. Kep also on the mediums. Zico's on the soft, so that is why Zico was able to get past Kep a little bit earlier on. Very wide there for Wack. That is going to be an easy position for Los Blancos up into P2. The gap between himself and his teammate, this is a Pegasus 1-2 at the moment, is 2.6 seconds. If he could catch up to Mortal, they could work together beautifully for the rest of the race to secure 22 points maybe 23 if they still keep the fastest lap. Looks like Wack is trying to stay close to Los Blanco and potentially avoid losing time to Fluffy, but taking the bus stop really carefully there loses some time, and that is probably going to allow Fluffy Butt a move. So Fluffy Butt's going to go around the outside, the long way around, up the oval. Let's see what the Aston Martin can do. We know the Nissan's got a good engine until it gets into the 6th gear, then it starts to struggle a little bit, and that's why the Aston Martin is right behind him now. And now we've got Zico in the Supra with an even more superior engine, just breezing past Fluffy Butt. Fluffy Butt backs out of that completely. Now we're going to have another go between Wack and Zico into turn 1. Zico makes the corner and gets the switch back beautifully. Wack loses a bit of traction and the position with it. No chance of fighting there. Now Fluffy Butt gives Wack a little bit of a bump there and goes for the move as well. He wants this position on Wack. He really needs it. Soft tyres versus medium, and Wack loses a bit more traction and another position. So he really needs to think now about regaining his composure and sticking with this train of cars. Remember, they're on the soft tyres. The softs wear about twice as quickly as the mediums. So if you could stick with them for a few laps, this is still a good position for Wack to be in. Zico is definitely in all the action. He's absolutely going for it. He's probably incredibly frustrated with how his qualifying went, because he is in potentially the best car for this track, the GR Supra. He's never ever qualified in Lobby B, and he is set to make amends. He's catching Los Blancos very quickly here. Los Blancos has a decision to make. He wants to avoid Zico getting past him. Instead, he just gets bump drafted completely, and that gives Los Blancos a huge amount of speed and closes the gap on Mortal by 0.3 of a second with one single bump draft. So potentially, if we see that again, Zico's just going to catch Los Blancos up to Mortal, and then he's going to potentially get both of them as well with the speed that he's showing at the moment. Still not got the fastest lap though. He's got on a 44.4 for Mortal compared to a 44.6 for Zico, and again goes for the bump draft. So very clever. They're starting to get away from Fluffy Butt with all this as well. Keplero in the pits early. This is a tactical pit stop, by the way. So he's going to drop all the way down. He's probably going to try and go all the way to the end on the softs now, I'm imagining. And if that's the case, I'm expecting to see some more medium runners in fairly soon. We've got Ruppy in P13, Zealy 12th, Prime Call 11th, Hurricane's back up in the top 10. That is 1 point for 10th place at the moment for Hurricane. And then we got Alfie in 9th, still doing pretty well. Much better than his first race with ALR. He's still in the top 10 here, just behind Autonomous and Hollywood, who's trying to recover from the penalty he got. Lugi promoted into 6th. He's just all on his own in this Huracan. So it's going to be a question of, can he catch up to the top guys, or is he going to start getting caught by the cars behind? Wack still within a second of Fluffy Butt, so he's... Oh, Fluffy Butt's nearly lost it. Wack's nearly lost it. They both managed to save their blushes. And Fluffy is going to drop probably to more than a second behind Zico now, which means he's going to be saying goodbye to some of the slipstream that he was getting. Zico is still behind Los Blancos at the moment as well. Let's have a quick look at Mortal. Mortal's lead is being cut down. Well, it was in the last lap especially. This lap not so much. There is a bit more of a gap. So he can start. He's gained about 0.2 of a second on Los Blancos this lap after losing about a full second because of the bump drafting. Oh no, right, it's going to be a lot more difficult for Los Blancos. He's got a 1 second penalty that's going to drop him down behind Zico. It's going to drop him down behind Fluffy Butt for sure as well. There goes Zico through. Excuse me, through goes Fluffy Butt as well. Wack Jams could potentially get him. Here's turn 1. He might have just stayed ahead of Wack, and that is very crucial for Los Blancos to stay ahead of the medium tired car, because the advantage is definitely still with the soft tyres. Wack Jam's definitely not doing the same strategy as Keplero. Keplero coming into the pits. Let's see where he's come out, surely towards the end. So he's 10 seconds off of Zealy at the moment. Zealy wasn't in that position a lap ago. Don't know what's happened to him. So Kep has not got enough fuel, so he's two-stopping. He's probably the only one who's going to try two-stopping here. In the Huracan, another Huracan driver. So all the Huracans in this lobby, it's a two-stop. Well, you think everyone's going to two-stop. I think a one stop is definitely the winner of this race. The pit lane is just far too long for 36 laps to offset that. Which is why I think Mortal's in such a good position. He's in the Lexus. If any car can do the one stop with a half tank to begin with, it's going to be the Lexus. But he's going to have to stay out on the medium tyres for a very long time in order to secure that. He's upped the gap, and we've just missed an overtake for P2 as well. Let's see if we can catch it on the replay. No, he was already in P2. So Zico's up into P2. He's got... Oh, right. Sorry. We didn't miss it. He had a second penalty. And that is why he's down his P4. Zico is 2 seconds off the back of Mortal at the moment. He is catching on the oval section quite substantially on Mortal. That'll be making Mortal sweat a little bit. He's definitely gained about at least 0.2 of a second. We've got Wack in the pits and we've got Lugi in the pits. So both of them on the mediums. We're saying goodbye to the medium runners for now. Let's see where they come out in relation to the Kep. Kep was about 1.5 seconds behind Wack when he pit. So surely he should be ahead with a strong outlap and first lap. He's had 2 laps to undercut Wack. He is in the Huracan. Wack wasn't battling either. So through goes Kep, round turn 1. Wack is... He's literally a second behind. So he's only lost 2 seconds in that. I probably won't be too disappointed because Keplero is a tier 1 race winner. He's incredibly quick, in the top 5 of the ALR rankings for esports as well. So we'll have to see if Wack can keep up with him. He's definitely shown the pace today in order to do so. The gap at the top has dropped by another couple of tenths. Now the gap between Mortal and Zico is 1.4 seconds. Looks like a little bit of a better exit there for Zico as well. Fluffy but still very close. He's closer to Mortal than he was previously as well. 2.7 seconds. Wack is going to be 2 stopping. You say, okay, that does make sense as well. Let's have a look towards the back. Lugi might not be. He's fully fueled. Can that get you to the end? Or is he just going to put in less fuel next time? Obviously, putting in a full tank isn't tactically optimal, because on a track like this especially, it's weighing your car down on the straights and you're losing 1 or 2 kilometers potentially unnecessarily. Meanwhile, Zico's taken the lead of the race. Mortal has come into the pits now, as have a bunch of drivers. Mortal could have stayed out for a few more laps, but he's decided to come in now. So these guys, I'm assuming, are 2 stopping. Let's stick with Mortal and see how much fuel he decides to put in. This is going to be incredibly important for him, and also important that he stays in the lead. He might potentially get overtaken by Keplero and Wack with the undercut, but he did have quite a big lead on both of them. So he's put in about 75%, similar to everybody else. He's out behind Zeely, but crucially he's ahead of Kep. Kep is ahead of Fluffy Butt, so he's managed to undercut Fluffy Butt as well. Fluffy Butt has stayed just ahead of Wack there. So, what tyres are everyone on? Wack's gone onto the softs. Fluffy Butt's on the medium, so Wack really needs to get past him quickly or else his strategy is done for. Softs for Keplero, mediums for Mortal. So I'm expecting Kep to be on an absolute charge and chase down Mortal over these next few laps. Then the guys who stayed out, we've got Zico. Let's see if he continues to stay out. He might have another lap in him with that much fuel that we could see on the gauge, but it's potentially not. This is one of the thirstier tracks. So currently Zico's got an 18-second lead. He's not going to keep that. Into the pits he comes. If he puts in 75% fuel like everyone else, he should be... I don't know, it's difficult. There's really the temptation to underfuel a little bit here to get track position. Yeah, I think you can't... Yeah, it has to be a 2-stop, I agree. Autonomous Hollywood, I'm guessing Ruppy's coming as well. Zeely, I'm assuming, is going to come in. But let's ride on board with Mortal as he finishes his outlap here. So he's had a 1-lap undercut, but he's on the mediums. Zico's been out on the softs. He's putting in fuel as we speak. Keplero's in second as it stands, closing the gap really quickly on Mortal on this outlap. And Zico just coming out of the pits now, if it wants to show us. And he's just lost the lead to Mortal there. Oh, he's left the room! He's disconnected, and it's over. Right, what on earth just happened there? Can I find him? No, we can't find him. You can see there's Mortal, and he's already disconnected halfway into that corner. That is a huge blow for Project Platypus, potentially 12 points that they're going to miss out on today because of connection issues. Oh, Mortal's nearly lost it! Keplero, is he going to get the position? I think that is going to hang the position. Mortal just flooring it too early, losing all of his traction. We're about to see a Lamborghini take the lead around Daytona. Wax got past Fluffy Butt in all this drama as well. Mortal's going to defend this really hard. This is Pegasus versus Arix Racing in Lobby B here for the lead of the race. And it looks like Kep backs out a little bit there. He's going to try again on the main straight. Who's commentating Lobby B next week? So the Lobby B commentator is Natty G, who's done plenty of comms in the past, just not for ALR, and he's pretty good. I'm excited to be commentating Lobby A this season along with Pyro for the whole season. But yeah, it's just me for the start this time around. Now these guys are working together, or is it the bait and switch? Because Kep is having a little look, but once he pulls out, the Lexus just seems to be a tiny bit better, and that's saving Mortal's arse at the moment. But then he's lost traction and he's lost the position just like that. P1 to Keplero on lap 12. Let's see the replay of that from Mortal's point of view here. So he goes a little bit wide, fails to get back on the inside on the exit, tries to, and loses traction anyway. And that is the lead for Keplero at the moment. Now he's got Whack Jamps on the softs, who's going to be catching up to him pretty quickly as well. Yeah, the most unfortunate disconnection I've seen this season for sure. Whack nearly losing it himself as we're going on to the oval section. Everyone's really struggling around here. Let's do a little rundown because we've had some changes in positions that I've seen. So we got Los Blancos just in 5th place, only 6 seconds off the lead. He's on the medium, so he's going to try his hardest to stick with the front guys on this stint. Then we've got Autonomous up in P6, ahead of Lugi, so he's on an absolute charge because he qualified outside the top 10 for this lobby. And he's managed to get ahead of Lugi, making some good progress for Pegasus. So we've got 3 Pegasus drivers in the top 6 here. They're going to be scoring some awesome points, despite failing to get into Lobby A. Lugi in P7 now. He has to try and stick. He's on the soft, so he should really be getting past Autonomous. Then we've got this close fight between these guys all race long. Ruppy just ahead of Hollywood, just ahead of Prime Call now. Is this little battle. Prime Call looks like he's got a good run on Hollywood through this corner, and he's going to try and go down, and he's going to do it. There was a sliver of space left and he exploited it, and that is another position there for Prime Call, up into 9th. Hollywood's trying to stick it around the outside, be a bit of a nuisance to see if Prime Call makes a mistake. Prime Call doesn't. These guys have had plenty of good battles last season. Hurricane's just a little bit behind them as well in P11. We've got a bit of a gap. Alfie, who was doing so well earlier on, is in 12th on these mediums, and Zeely in 13th. I think these guys might struggle to score points today, and it's between this top 11 at the moment. But like I said, there is a long way to go. Keplero nearly losing it. And on that corner once again, I think that we're going to call it the corner of death today. 1.1 is his advantage over Whack, but that is decreasing because of that mistake. Whack 8/10 clear of Mortal now. Mortal is only 8/10 ahead of Fluffy Butt. So let's ride on board with Fluffy Butt, see what he's up to with his driving. He's only 2.5 seconds off the lead. He's on the mediums as well, just like Mortal, but it seems like he's dealing with these medium tyres a little bit better. And he got a slightly better exit there than Mortal. So these guys have completely dropped Los Blanco now as well. Los Blanco, another one on the mediums, but isn't enjoying the mediums like these guys are. So it goes to show, oh, we might have a change for the lead. Keplero's clearly had a penalty outside of the bus stop, and he's defending into turn 1. Wack's going for it around the outside. And he has to go a little bit wide. Keplero's struggling to make the corner, and Wack gives him so much room to avoid the collision and has to concede the position, and Keplero gets away with that penalty. It was starting to look a bit comfortable for Kep, and he nearly lost it there. Oh, Wack, you need to keep it. Right, didn't lose too much there. If it's a fight in the slipstream, Wack would win this in the GTR. But he has to stick with Kep, and then he has to get the position, and then he has to keep it for another 22 laps. And yeah, a bit of a scruffy exit there. That's giving Keplero a lot of breathing space. He'll catch up a little bit of time down this straight. Actually, he's catched up a lot of time already. Right, we might see another change for the lead just after the bus stop. That gap has shrank by 0.3 of a second. And yeah, Kep had a tidier bus stop, but again, the gap will shrink. What's the fuel difference? Very similar fuel. Kep's tyres are more worn. That'll be having a little bit of an impact. I think the engine's what's having the most impact here, though. Yeah, if Wack had a tidier bus stop, he'd definitely have been able to get past, but it's not going to be this lap. Needs to keep the pressure on Kep, though. Kep with a solid exit. Right, let's have a quick look at what's going on a little bit further back. Mortal and Fluffy still in the fight here. Everyone's still within 2.7 seconds of each other in the top 4. Los Blancos, look, yeah, he's lapping in the mid-45s, struggling to keep up with them. Autonomous and Lugi still glued together. Let's stick with this battle for a little bit. So Lugi absolutely planted behind this driver on the soft tyres as well, both of them on the softs. Autonomous managing to get ahead because he severely underfueled for this stint to jump a whole group of cars here. Lugi put in a full tank, which is probably affecting his chances of getting an overtake done. Wack and Kep need to drop the medium, guys. You're absolutely right. It could come back to bite them. Wack's already done his well, they've all already done their medium stints though. So at least they'll have track position. Here comes Lugi. He's got a chance here. He's less than 0.2 down. He's against the GR Supra in a Huracan, so the odds are pretty slim of getting an overtake done, but he's got to go for it. I think if he could go for it, he could start creating a nice gap. He's dropped 16 seconds behind the leader now. And he's stuck really close to Autonomous, but I don't think a move is going to be made on the exit there. Now we've got Wack's dropped to about 0.8 behind Keplero now. He's completely out of the slipstream, losing a significant amount of time to Kep there. Wonder if he had any form of penalty to serve. I don't think so, because Mortal would have closed the gap. Fluffy really feeling good on these mediums, lapping incredibly in the 44s very consistently on these medium tyres. Of course, he's got some slipstream help, but Mortal's not been able to do that. He's in the low 45s, which is still pretty decent pace on the mediums. Sun is starting to set around Daytona now. And Fluffy Butt has to be a little bit careful not to crash into the back of Mortal around some of these corners. And again, he's going for it. That's not a good idea. And they get away with it. Fluffy Butt nearly just loses it himself there. So it's pretty much as you were as a result of that. Fluffy is only 0.3 of a second back on Mortal though. You want to be sticking in the slipstream though to get a bit closer. He's slightly veering outside of it. Mortal flashing his lights, probably saying thank you for not killing me when we had a little moment there. Oh, that's a penalty for Fluffy. If that's not a penalty, then there's some severe lag going on. 1 second penalty for Mortal. Not for Mortal. He's flashing his lights. I don't know if he's like flashing them to laugh at the penalty or I don't know. But this is going to drop Fluffy Butt potentially out of the fight for the top 3. This is great news for the top 3. Mortal's just going to completely gallop away there. You're only just getting into 6th gear now because of that penalty. It's huge. And he's dropping as we go into turn 1, about 2.5 seconds down from Mortal as a result. So it's all starting to spread out a little bit because Kepler is 1.1 ahead of Wack now as well. So he's not really dropping Wack. This is why I love esports. You've got a tier 1 guy, a lot of tier 1 guys in lobby B, and the one that's fighting for the win is actually a tier 3 driver. Wack has been insane since the last physics update. You know, he was quick before we changed physics, then he really struggled with the last physics, and now these ones, especially around here, he's found a lot of pace. And he's very consistent. I don't want to jinx him, but I'm going to. No spins yet, no dramas. And we've got a top 3, and then we've got Fluffy Butt. He is on incredible pace though. He could catch up to these guys. Don't rule Fluffy Butt out of the win just yet either. Lugi has got past Autonomous now, and he is 0.8 of a second clear of him. So he's finally managed to do it. And then there's quite a big gap, and it's Hurricane in 8th. Something's happened. Then it's Hollywood in 9th. Ruppy's down in 10th. Prime Call's in 11th. And they're all cut off from each other. I think there's potentially been an incident. That last lap of Prime Calls was a 2-minute 1. So that's a good 16, 17 seconds down from his previous lap. He's not made a pit stop. So he's been in the wars, and all of a sudden it's looking difficult for him. Ruppy as well lost a lot of time. So that kind of indicates there's been a collision between those two. Hollywood only lost a couple of seconds, so he avoided whatever was going on. And Hurricane is just lapping pretty solidly at the moment and just managed to get past all of them. So all of a sudden looking pretty good for Hurricane, repping Aero GT, the only one in the top 10 here. Obviously Owen is in lobby A as well. Let's go back to the front. Wack is closing the gap again, 0.9 of a second now. The softs are starting to approach 50% one on the front left here. Keplero's rear right is in a right state. So he's not going to have too many more laps out on these tyres, I don't think. So that might give Wack the net race lead. And the interesting thing about Daytona, obviously the undercut's massive in these races on Gran Turismo 7. Around Daytona though, doing laps on fresh tyres with a heavy tank penalises you more than other tracks because of the amount of time you've got on full throttle. You're just being dragged down unnecessarily by the fuel. Whereas even if you're on pretty worn tyres, it still benefits you to stay out. As long as you can keep the time in the infield section, you can still be as quick as the drivers that try and get the undercut. But look at the amount of time that Wack has pulled on Keplero there as well. He's now up to half a second away. Kept struggling a little bit through turn 1, driving completely on the limit of that Lamborghini Huracan. And this is a Nissan GTR, by the way, that's chasing him down. So it's not one of the fabled top speed cars, it's just the GTR, which is potentially the best all-rounder. A lot of people in the league would make that argument. Neither of these cars were the most popular pick in esports though. That went to, I think it was joint between the Supra and the Porsche potentially. Although the Porsche is being raced by guys who aren't racing in round 1. We're not seeing many Porsches here. Mortal in P3 by the way, 1.5 seconds off the back of Wack. still on those mediums. So the mediums are coming back to him. He's been lapping in the high 44s, low 45s, very similar to Wack. Yeah, and similar to Kep here as well. Let's see how brave Wack is this time into the bus stop. Looks pretty tidy. Maybe that was flirting with a corner cutting penalty. I think he timed it perfectly though. He would have received it by now. And he hasn't got one. But he is 7/10 of a second, make that 6/10 of a second behind Kep. He is catching up very quickly here. Now, is Kep going to dive into the pits? He's going to stay out on those quite worn rear tyres in the Huracan. And I think it's starting to penalise him now. And Wack might have a chance of getting the lead of the race on this lap. Fluffy Butt. Oh my goodness, something's happened to Fluffy Butt. His last lap, lap 18, at 1 minute 57.8. He's dropped 6th place, he's dropped behind Los Blancos, and he's dropped behind Autonomous. He's just ahead of Lugi, who himself has been lapping in the 46s. And he's feeling a bit racy against Fluffy Butt here as well. Fluffy Butt having to go a bit defensive here. So maybe potentially feeling a little bit out of shape now that he's lost some positions there. That is quite a big blow to Apex's hopes of scoring good points today, potentially. But he can recover. I'd said that last time though. Let's see what Wack Jamps is up to. He's dropped to 1.3 back on Kep in the infield section. So maybe making a mistake. Maybe his own tyre wear started to come into play here. Mortal is catching up to him. 1.3 is the gap now, so almost in slipstream range. This is still looking good for Mortal for a race win here. It depends how long these guys stay out. They've definitely got a few more laps worth in them in terms of the tank. Kep a little bit less. I think he's got a pit, doesn't he? Maybe one more lap. This is the penalty for being the first man to come into the pits. He is really struggling now. Yeah, so Lugi in this lobby is racing for Spider GT, not for ERA. So yeah, there's the confusion there. Kept carrying on surely for what's going to be his last lap. Fortunately for Kep, he's had the fortune of gapping Wack in the infield section to such an extent that even though Wack closes the gap massively, he can't get the position on Kep or even threaten him really. But that might change this lap because Kep's going to be sliding all over the place with the state of that rear right tyre. Ooh, and he nearly loses it there as well. Wack almost does the exact same thing in sympathy. Lets Kep off the hook, but the gap is not over a second this time round. Kep will struggle at the end. Yeah, probably. He is going to go on the softs for another, what, 15 laps if he pits here. Mortal has a good chance to win it if he could beat the pace on mediums. Well, yeah, he has to stick with these guys. Potentially could overtake Wack. I'm assuming Wack's going to stay out for a bit longer. He's only 4/10s back now. If Kep stays out one more lap, Wack could get him on this straight anyway. So if I was Kep, I'd just save the battle, come straight into the pits, and hopefully come out and clear air. But that's not guaranteed because it's quite a field spread at the moment. Kep is coming in. Yeah, that is the right call. Mortal's going to move up into P2. Los Blancos is going to move up into P3 now. So now we are back to what we were a little bit earlier with a Pegasus and PRU podium. Yannick will be very happy with how tonight's going. Autonomous is actually going to move up into 4th as well. Kep still hasn't started putting in fuel yet. Here's Fluffy Butt trying to recover. He's started to gap Lugi, which is good for him. Lugi on the softs is struggling as well now. Still got plenty of life in them compared to Kep the Rose. Through goes Hurricane. Hollywood is caught up to the back of Hurricane now. Ruppy trying to catch up as well. He's in the 45s on the softs, even though they're quite worn, so he's doing pretty well there. 44s in very worn softs, a prime call. absolutely putting in a shift trying to catch up with what's happened below. Here comes Kepler. Kepler is not going to come out in clear air. He's going to have to deal with Prime Call. Prime Call's been lapping really well though in the 44s. So if Kep doesn't really challenge him, which I think is going to be hard for him to do because he doesn't know how quick Prime Call's going. And Prime Call might start driving a little bit defensive here, which is going to cost both of them. Prime Call trying to recover and Kep trying to get a lovely undercut on Wack. But this could be absolutely crucial for the race lead. If Wack can put in some tidy laps, or even if he comes in this lap just to cover off Keplero, if Kep's losing time here behind Prime Call, it is not going to go well for him. Prime Call actually looks like he's driving away from the Huracan a little bit there, even in slipstream. What's he in? He's in the Lexus. That can't be right. Wack's in the pits. He's responded. Keplero really can't lose any time here. He wasn't even a second ahead when he came into the pits. It was almost nothing. Prime Call's got a half-second penalty. That's music to Keplero's ears. Keplero's going to be able to get at least this position, benefit a little bit from the slipstream as well, which might be all the difference here. So that's going to disappear right about now. Kep serves his half-second penalty. He's going to have to come in, slot himself right behind Keplero. And let's stick. Wack's putting in fuel as we speak. We've got the run down to turn 1. And I think Kep might have it. Out comes Wack. Wack looks like he's got it on Kep. Wack's going slow out of the pits. And he's got the position. That is net P1 for Wack Jamps Project Racing United. He's done absolutely beautifully there, but he can't afford to do that again. Now Kep's got to run at him. He's not going to be able to get alongside, but he might decide to absolutely chuck it down the inside here. He's going to try and go for it. Wack leaves the door open. And there we have it. As quickly as he got the lead, he lost it again. But he's going to have a chance on this straight as well. He needs to get a good exit. That might be a penalty. Let's stick with him and see. He's lost a lot of time as well. Mortal staying out on the mediums, by the way. These guys should get a bit of time on him, but he'll have really quick softs at the end. So Wack did well. He avoided the penalty. He's half a second behind Kep. It's basically now the same situation that we had before the pit stops. Kep's experience, Kep's tier 1 noose, I don't know what you call it. I think it's noose is a different thing. Has helped him get the lead back straight away, because if he was stuck behind Wack, that might have been a race-ending, race-losing position for him to be in. But he's going to have some defending to do here. Wack is 0.3 of a second back, 0.2 of a second back now. There's going to be an overtake here for the P6, which is going to move down to P3 with only 2 drivers staying out. Kep's defending the inside into turn 1. Keeps the position. Wack going the long way around, goes very wide at the corner, loses another 0.3, make that another 0.3 of a second to Kep. Lugi stayed, actually come in, and because he underfueled, he's now out in P5 potentially. And what I mean by that is he put in a full tank in the middle sector and was stuck in the gaggle of all these cars. Now he's at the head of this pack and up in P5. P5 is 6 points for Spider, who are both represented in Lobby A at the moment. So that'll be some good points if he can finish there, but he's going to probably come under some pressure. Let's see what he can do now. He's back on the preferred soft tyres. Mortal with a 9.6 second gap over his teammate Los Blancos in P1. Keplero is now 9/10 ahead of Wack, having already made their final pit stops. They're going all the way to the end. Kep getting a 1 lap undercut on Wack, so he's not going to suffer so much with his tyres at the end of this race compared to Wack, because I think it was a 2 lap advantage that he had last time. And Kep gets a stronger bus stop there and is gapping Wack even more before the gap starts to come down. Mortal staying out even longer. I think he can get another 2 or 3 laps out of this tank, so not in a rush to come in. wants to be quick at the end. I think that's the right choice strategically. If he pits now and goes on the softs, he's just going to be behind those guys with a similar tyre life to them. Whereas if he can stick this out, he'll probably catch up to them fairly quickly, if he's got the pace for it, of course. And then have the fresher tyres to try a move, especially in the infield section, when they might be sliding around the corners on the last couple of laps. So definitely a good strategy here from all. Completely in contention to get another win. Start the season off with your first race and get a race win. How nice would that be? Just sets you up lovely for the rest of the season. Mortal racing in Tier 2 this season. Los Blancos is racing in Tier 1 this season with Kep. And then we've got Whack, who's racing in Tier 3. No one else in the top 8 is racing on Mondays. The Yacht Hurricane Tier 3 driver, actually my teammate in Tier 3 this season. Prime Calls in Tier 2. He should be really a lot higher than this, so I'm very curious to see what's gone wrong with him today. Looks like we've lost, no, we haven't lost anyone. Alfie's just still out on his mediums, and he's being a thorn in the side for Hurricane at the moment. So Alfie, he's probably going to do a similar strategy to Mortal, who's just come into the pits now. Is Babia going to follow him? He does. So that means that this is going to be excuse me, the battle for P1 again. Crucially, where is Mortal going to come out, and how far behind this battle is he going to be? These guys haven't really tripped each other up too much, apart from on that first lap out of the pits where Kep got the position back. Wax going for it. He's got the speed. Kep defending the inside. It's very difficult to get the overtake done around the outside. Wax tried it a few times. It looks like he's fully ahead, but he leaves the space and he gets the position absolutely beautifully there, and he takes the lead of this race. Let's see a replay of that from Wax's point of view. He goes around the outside. It looks like he gets fully ahead of Kep in the braking zone here, kind of grazes the side barriers, and yeah, manages to keep the speed through the corner, nearly loses it, but that is absolutely fine. There is Mortal, which I think might be ahead of all of them. He did manage to stay ahead when he just came out of the pits there, so that is absolutely crucial. Everything's just been flipped on its head. Keplero all of a sudden down into P3. Mortal in the lead of the race with the freshest tyres. Lexus versus Nissan versus Huracan. 3 cars that you would probably think wouldn't be right at the front of a Daytona race, but these guys have a 10-second gap on literally everybody else. Wax going to tuck up in the slipstream of Mortal, which is going to save him from an attack by Keplero here as well. But here comes Wack. What is Wack going to be able to do? Is Wack going to... Well, if you can stick close to Mortal, he might get the race win here. But if they work together, they could potentially drop Kep. Kep might be a little bit too fast to fall for that game, though. He's well and truly in Wack's slipstream, which is what you need as a Huracan driver. I think these 3 are just going to absolutely gallop off into the distance, and the win is going to come from who makes this, well, less mistakes. What is Wack going to do? Is he going for the bump or is he going for the overtake? He's thinking, no, he goes for it. Actually, I don't think he goes for either. He just brakes early. And that was fine because, well, here comes Kep really hot into turn 1 and loses a bit of momentum because of it. So Wack, because he had to lift a little bit before the braking zone, nearly caused Kep to go into the back of him. So these guys are going to have to start being a little bit more careful if they want to avoid an incident. Very close between these 3 right now. Wack is leaving the door open a little bit again, and Kep doesn't go for it this time. Wack hits the apex really nicely, and Kep putting all sorts of pressure on him right now. Absolute, not even a second is separating the top 3 as we head onto the oval for the 27th time this week, and Wack looks like he got a bit of a better exit. I think once we're up and running on the straight, Wack has the advantage out of these guys quite comfortably. Lugi's dropped to 7th. Something's happened to Lugi. He had a 1:50 on lap 26, so he came out in P5, lost a couple of positions. He's on for a fastest lap here, actually. So he's not messing about on this lap. Let's just stick with him Well, actually, let's go back to the front because these guys are really close. Kep has a half-second penalty from the bus stop. That is absolutely huge, and it is going to potentially allow Wack and Mortal, if they work together, to build a gap that Kep can't catch again because of the slipstream. Half a second, so that was a tenth of a second was the gap. Let's see when they're in the middle of turn 1 what that turns into. We're already at 7/10. And it's down to about 1 second because Kep gets turn 1 completely wrong there. So a little bit of breathing space, still in slipstream range, quite crucially though. So this is quite a surprise at the start of this season, I've got to say. We've got Kep in Lobby B, and he's struggling to win. We've got Lugi and Fluffybutt, two guys that have potentially been the quickest. Lugi actually in the 43s, I think for the first time tonight. I don't think he managed it in... Ooh, Fluffybutt really defending hard there. Let's see what's going on here. Everyone going quicker than the fastest lap time at the moment. Everyone seems to be going purple. Looks like a little bit of lag on Lugi's side because we can hear the tyres screeching in a jittery way. A much wider entry into the oval. Fluffy got a bit of a better exit there. That'll give him some breathing space. What about in the battle for the top 3? Battle for victory. Everyone's spread out a little bit more now, which is bad news for Wack, to be honest. Wack is over a second behind Mortal, and this might allow Kep to just slowly reel in Wack on the oval, which he wouldn't be able to do if Wack was a couple of tenths closer to Mortal. Actually, Wack's still gapping Kep here, despite that. He's still getting a little bit of slipstream, but it's getting weaker and weaker as the seconds roll on. So Mortal's strategy was starting on the soft tyres, getting out in the front. I mean, he started on pole position. You've got to start on the softs if you're on pole, really, to try and build a gap. Didn't really build a gap. Came out in the mediums, stuck with the guys on the softs for the whole stint, was lapping identically to them, which I think was crucial for him having this 1.3 second lead now. Wack seems to be struggling to keep up with him. It's looking very good, and if Wack can keep Kepler behind him, then that is the path to victory for Team Pegasus here. Here comes Kep. It might happen this lap. He's well and truly in the slipstream now. He's going purple as well. He'll lose that at the bus stop. Oh, wow, so much tyre screeching by Kep, but he manages to keep control of his car. And, yeah, drops to just over half a second. Wack is starting to gap him again. It's not going to be an overtake here. Lugi is ahead of Fluffybutt, so he did manage to get ahead of him in the last lap or two. So some good pace there for Lugi, back up into P6. That's 5 points if he finishes there. Apex Hollywood in P8, so it's going to be P8 and a P7 for Apex at the moment. And then Rupee in P9 for FGR, Hurricane in 10th for Aero GT. Prime Call still looks like he's not going to be in the points, but Hurricane could potentially get Rupee here. They're both lapping very similarly. Hurricane lapping the quickest that he's been. They're both on the soft tyres as well. And we've got Alfie and Zeely cut off a fair bit here. God, look at the lag on that as well. Kepler must have had a penalty or something because he's one... Oh no, he must have got deep into turn 1 actually, because his last lap was pretty good. He's now 2.3 seconds off the back of Wack. Mistakes creeping in. Isn't it interesting the difference the season can make? Wack was in this Nissan as well last season in Tier 3. Didn't get a race win, struggled to get podiums, and now in esports he's going to get a podium in the same car. What a difference a few weeks can make, I suppose. Kethero's struggling now though, I think with 6 laps left to go and his tyres starting to go off. And he's starting to get caught a little bit here by Los Blancos. Los Blancos in the high 44s at the moment. He's got a second penalty, never mind. Autonomous in the mid 44s, he's doing pretty well. Potentially could get P4 off Los Blancos with his second penalty. Let's see what that gap changes to. Is it pretty much at 6 seconds on the nose here before the penalty line? 1 second is huge around here. There, we're already a second gained. It's 2 seconds gained. That's a shame for Los Blancos. He was going pretty quickly. He's lost 2.1 to Autonomous because of that 1 second penalty. Someone's come out of the pits. I think that's a lapped car. Lugi about 3 seconds off the back of Autonomous. He is driving quicker though, so potentially could catch him for P5 before the end. We've got Fluffy Butt is in 7th now. Still hanging on to the back of Lugi after getting overtaken. Then Hollywood pretty much on his own. Ruppy and Hurricane is going to start having some fun here, I can see. Hurricane in the Mazda, the only Mazda picked this season. It is not a popular car anymore like it used to be. Very good for a track like this, or like Le Mans for example. Not very good for the more standard mid-speed tracks. Or tracks with actual apexes that are slightly bumpy. I'll just send you into Narnia. So 0.6 of a second is the gap between Ruppy and Hurricane right now. He's closing. This is going to be a very important bus stop. If he can nail this bus stop, Hurricane is away. So down into 4th, really closes the gap on the entry to the bus stop. Looks like Ruppy got a slightly better exit. That's going to help him for a little bit of this oval. And he's still gaining time on Hurricane, and now it's started to come down. A little bit too late there. Unless he absolutely sends it. Be careful, there's the wall there, he's just missed that. That was the most unique entry into turn 1 I've ever seen in my life. So Autonomous, the gap between him and Babi Yaba is continuing to come down. It's 4.4 seconds. He's got a lapped car in Zeely just ahead of him. Fluffy Butt in P7. Dropping to 1.2 behind Lugi now. The gap at the top, by the way, is starting to really increase. All 3 of them are starting to get gapped. Kep has completely lost his marbles, he's lost his beans, he's lost his everything. 4.8 off the back of Whack now. So this is looking like a very good day at the office for Project Racing United, who I think basically their target is not to finish last every season. It's kind of the development team. And this is a great way to start. 10 points in the bag. Who the hell has the fastest lap? Why does it say Rayless Sith on fastest lap? Who's that? I'll find it. I'll find it properly at the end. What the hell's going on there? None of these guys are called that. Is it Lugi? No, 43. It was Zico. That's his name. Okay. Well, Zico will get the fastest lap point then, if that is his, because he disconnected. He didn't rage quit, so he can still be eligible for that point. So he's not coming away pointless, unless anyone else could beat his time. What a shame, because he really could have won this race. But he's not here. A huge blow for Project Platypus. I'm not sure how they're doing in the other lobby, but I can't see BX or Perry in the top 8. Interesting. Looks like a good day potentially for ERA, FGR, but they've got also Ruppy only going to be scoring a couple of points here, unfortunately. Spider just one in the top 8 by the looks of it. Falcon 2 in the top 8. And then we got Slim in P5 as well. So very, yeah, everything's topsy-turvy here. Meanwhile, Mortal makes a bit of a pig-zero of that. Let's see if he got a penalty for that. I think he gets away with it. Lost, well, 8/10 on his quickest lap, though. 3 seconds up on Wack, so it's not much of a problem for him. Doesn't get the penalty. I have a feeling Kep's probably got a few penalties. He's got another 3 laps to go with tyres that are this worn. Again, it looks like he's going to have the most worn tyres on the track. Los Blancos is starting to drop Autonomous again. Autonomous still 2.6 ahead of Lugi, so lapping very similarly. Fluffy Butt still, well, he's closed the gap again on Lugi, but hasn't been able to get close enough to try a move. And then in the battle for P9, Ruppy is actually gapping Hurricane a little bit now. So, we have 3 laps left. Mortal has a 2.8 second lead. I think he's only won 1 time in esports before. That was Lobby B a couple of seasons ago. Got podium last season at Blue Moon. He was driving the Dodge Viper though, which was not a good car. And famously finished several laps down in the last race in Alsace. Decided to do donuts rather than race at the finish line. But he's come back with the new team, with the new sense of purpose, clearly. Did incredibly well in Tier 2 last season in the Corvette. Now he's in the Lexus, which is a bit better than both those cars he tried to drive last season. And he's completely controlled this race, really. Especially in the middle stint on his mediums. Definitely had the best middle stint out of everybody. Oh, he's only got 2 laps left. Wack as well. Huge shout out to how Wack has driven. Kep is now 12 seconds back. He's about to lose time, a position to Los Blancos here. So let's go back and see if we can find any... No, he's already made the mistake to lose all that time. So the battle for the podium is not over yet. Kep is pretty much overtaken. There's been contact between the two of them on the run down to turn 1. And it looks like Los Blancos has got that position. And yeah, Kep is really struggling now. These guys are 2 Tier 1 drivers, shouldn't really be in Lobby B, and it looks like Los Blancos is in pole position for getting that. He's got better tyres than Kep as well, so he should be able to negotiate these corners side by side with ease, which he does, and gets a good exit there from the corner. So Kep's day is going from bad to worse, from P1 to P4 now, and he's got another lap and a half to try and nurse these tyres to the end of the race, but he's not enjoying how they've gone off at all. Tried a strategy, an aggressive tyre strategy with a big undercut, which doesn't seem to have worked out because it looks like he's got the worst tyre wear on the track. So everyone is just, yeah, feeling a lot more comfortable here. Autonomous looking fairly comfortable on his tyres, are about half one on the front. Lugi's really struggling on his tyres in the Huracan as well, but his lap times, well, his last one was a 45.9, so he is starting to struggle. He's only got a 6/10 of a second lead on Fluffy Butt as well, so that might be under threat. But let's rejoin this battle. Can Kep do something and get a good exit here? No, he's struggling around the bus stop again. Now, is he going to avoid a penalty there? I think he will, but he's lost all his momentum, and Los Blancos, surely with a lap to go, has that podium wrapped up. What about Fluffy Butt? Lugi looks like he had a bad exit as well. Fluffy Butt along the outside. Aston Martin versus Huracan. I think Aston Martin's got a few more beans. It'll depend on how it's being tuned. Now it's a drag race. The Aston is edging ahead. He's not actually. Lugi is putting it a sterling fight here. These two be scrapping for about half the race at this point, and Lugi wins out that one. going to have to go defensive. I think Fluffy Bud's going to send it. No, he backs out of it. Lugi gives him the space, though. Gives him way too much space and hands the position to Fluffy Bud at the end there. Now, what can he do? He's in the Huracan, and he has to try and overtake him in the last few corners here. Someone a lap down, I think, has just spun. Doesn't matter. Let's join Mortal anyway. Back at the front, he's just negotiating the bus stop chicane for the final time. He's stretched his lead to whack to 2.7 seconds. He's been really in control. Basically, ever since Zico got disconnected, it has been everything's just been looking really good for Mortal. He's shown incredible pace all weekend around this track in 2 different cars. He's about to take his, I'm pretty sure it's his second eSports Lobby B victory, starting off the season really strongly for Pegasus. That's 12 points in the bag. He's already celebrating. There we go, there's the finish line. P1 for Mortal, a huge result for WAC. P2, best result in eSports for sure. Then we have Los Blancos in P3, getting a double podium for Pegasus there. Keplero is going to be just behind him in P4 in the Lamborghini Huracan. Then we've got Autonomous in P5. He's looked pretty comfortable, worked his way up, which you've seen him do several times last season. Fluffy Butt in 6th, just ahead of Lugi in 7th. Then we've got a bit of a gap to Hollywood, who definitely was involved in something, finishing 8th. And then we've got Hurricane and Primecall in 9th and 10th. Something's happened to Ruppy. He is not in, so that's 3 points for these two together combined for Aero GT. What has happened to Ruppy? He's been lapping, he lapped a 46 and then he lapped a 48. This one looks like it is a 56, so he's had an absolute nightmare last lap, and he doesn't score for FGR there. Alfie is going to be the last driver on the lead lap because Zeely was a lap down. So let's just watch as we see the PRU driver finish his race. This has been a fantastic race all around. Loads and loads of action. Lots of drama, lots of penalties coming into play as well, and some fantastic overtakes on top of that. So no points for Alfie today. Yet to see points in his ALR career, but there's a long way to go and a lot of improvement that you can do, mate. There we go, and that finishes Lobby B. So what I'm going to do now is go away and do all the calculations, see who is going to be leading the championship. But that was definitely a good race for Pegasus. They'll be maybe 5th, 6th-ish position. And then everyone else, I just have to see what happened with Lobby A. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Let's put the result on the screen here. Fastest lap did go to Zico there, who DNF'd, unfortunate, but that's the way it goes sometimes. So let me just take some screenshots as well. So yeah, that's it for me. Thanks for watching, guys. Tomorrow we start our Monday season, which is very exciting. So we'll have tier 1 live streamed, and the other tiers will come as post-cobs. And then next week we'll have some more esports action on Sunday. So yeah,